Did you know there's a place on Earth where you can walk from the United States to Russia? And that's not even the strangest part. This spot lets you see into the future. Sound impossible? Well, let's unravel the incredible story of the Diomede Islands and their secrets. At this point lies one of the most complex mysteries. The Diomede Islands are located in the Bering Strait, which connects the Pacific and Arctic Oceans. This is where Asia and the Americas come closest, separated by just 85 kilometers, 53 miles, at the narrowest point of the Bering Strait. But within this icy expanse lies something even more astonishing: the Diomede Islands. These two isolated landmasses stand just 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles apart, making them the closest point of contact between the United States and Russia. This remote territory consists of two islands: Big Diomede, controlled by Russia, and Little Diomede, part of the United States. The Russian island is called Ratmanov, and in the past it had a population. But during the Soviet era, all the residents were removed from Ratmanov. Today it has no permanent inhabitants, but is home to a Russian weather station. On the other side, Little Diomede, part of Alaska, is home to the town of Diomede, with an estimated 79 residents in 2024. However, life here is extremely harsh. The cold is intense, and for the most of the year, the ground, houses, and even the surrounding waters are covered in thick layers of ice. The islands are among the most isolated places in the world, with transportation options limited to occasional helicopters or boats when the ice allows. During the winter months, the low temperatures freeze the water's surface, which creates a surprising phenomenon. For some time, the two islands become completely connected by a thick layer of ice. When an ice bridge can sometimes form in winter, theoretically making it possible to walk between the islands, such crossings are now illegal and highly dangerous. There have been a few rare instances of people crossing between the Diomede Islands. During the Cold War, the narrow gap between the islands became known as the Ice Curtain, symbolizing the political divide between the United States and the Soviet Union. One of the most famous crossings occurred in 1987 when American swimmer Lynn Cox swam from Little Diomede, US to Big Diomede, Russia as a gesture of peace. The event was so significant that both Mikhail Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan personally congratulated her. Historically, before tensions escalated, residents of both islands would occasionally visit each other under the cover of fog, exchanging small gifts and meeting relatives. After World War II, anyone caught attempting to cross was arrested, with some, like Oscar Akina, being detained for weeks before being banished. In 1998, a Russian father and son reportedly attempted to walk from Big Diomede to Alaska. Through the outcome of the journey remains uncertain. Today, the border remains tightly controlled, with a Russian military presence on Big Diomede ensuring that unauthorized crossings are intercepted. Before 1867, the Diomede Islands were inhabited by the Inupiat people, an indigenous group native to the region. While there was some movement between the islands, particularly for trade and family visits, it was not entirely unrestricted. At the time, the Russian Empire controlled Alaska, but maintaining such a distant and sparsely populated territory was becoming increasingly difficult. After Russia's defeat in the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, the empire faced financial strain and growing concerns about British expansion in North America. With the fur trade in decline and the region becoming more of a liability, Russian officials sought a solution. The answer came in the form of a sale. In 1867, Russian leader Alexander II negotiated a deal with the United States, leading to the largest territorial transaction in history, the Alaska Purchase. For $7.2 million, the United States acquired Alaska, gaining vast natural resources and strategic control over the region. For approximately $485 million in today's currency, the United States bought a territory bigger than most countries, full of oil, natural gas, gold, and many other precious metals. Considering that Alaska's GDP today is $70 billion as of July 2024, the acquisition was also one of the best investments in the world. While dividing up which parts belonged to which country, political negotiators came across the Diomede Islands. The name Diomede means divine council or council of God, so they decided to divide even the two islands, leaving one for each country. After this agreement, the two sister islands were politically divided between two countries, even though they are only a few kilometers apart. After the purchase, the United States officially took control of the region, which would later become the second largest state in the country. The name Alaska was already in use and originated from the Aleut word Alaksek or Alyaska, meaning great land or mainland. The Russians had also adopted a version of this name during their colonial period, long before the territory was transferred to the United States. When Alaska became part of the United States in 1867, it had to adapt to the American calendar system. At the time, Russia used the Julian calendar, while the United States followed the Gregorian calendar, which is still used in most parts of the world today. As a result of this transition, Alaska skipped 12 days, moving from Friday, October 6th, Julian calendar, directly to Friday, October 18th, Gregorian calendar. Despite the date shift, the day of the week remained the same, making it one of the rare instances in history where a calendar transition occurred without disrupting the weekly cycle. This shift in the calendar was not the only time-related adjustment. The region's unique position on the globe also placed it at a crossroads of international timekeeping. This imaginary division caused one island to be in a different time zone, but at this point on Earth, the difference is huge. From Big Diomede to Little Diomede, there is a 21-hour time difference. In just 4 kilometers, you can go into tomorrow, 21 hours into the future. The Russian island is in GMT plus 12, while the American island is in GMT negative 9. While it's 9 a.m. Monday on Little Diomede, it's 6 a.m. Tuesday on Big Diomede. From the smaller island, you can literally look into tomorrow about 21 hours into the future. That's based, of course, on our way of measuring time. This time gap is just one of the many unique aspects of the Diomede Islands. But beyond time zones and frozen waters, some have looked at this region and seen something else: potential. For decades, engineers and visionaries have proposed an ambitious project: a bridge or tunnel spanning the Bering Strait, linking Russia and Alaska. If such a connection were built, it would create the first ever direct land route between Eurasia and North America. The most serious proposal emerged in 2007, the TKM World Link project. This ambitious plan envisions a 103-kilometer, 64-mile tunnel beneath the Bering Strait, connecting Siberia to Alaska as part of a 6,000-kilometer, 3,700-mile transportation corridor. The estimated cost? A staggering $65 billion, with the tunnel alone projected at $10 to $12 billion. The design calls for 3 parallel tunnels, 2 main roads for road and rail traffic, along with a smaller emergency access tunnel. In theory, this connection could handle 3% of global freight traffic, generating up to $7 billion annually. But while the idea is grand, the challenges are even greater. The Bering Strait is one of the most extreme environments on Earth, with shifting ice flows up to 1.8 meters thick and brutal Arctic storms limiting construction to just 5 months per year. Not to mention the geopolitical tensions between Russia and the United States, which have prevented any real progress beyond initial studies. Despite this, discussions are ongoing. In 2008, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin approved plans to extend rail lines toward the Bering Strait, and as recently as 2024, talks were held in Alaska to promote the idea. And Russia isn't the only country interested. China has also explored the idea of a high-speed rail link extending from Beijing to the U.S., passing through Siberia and the Bering Strait and into North America. The proposed rail system would involve a 200-kilometer, 124-mile undersea tunnel, making it the longest of its kind. However, the project remains purely theoretical, as no official agreements have been made between the involved nations. The Diomede Islands are a remarkable place, where nations meet, time shifts, and history has left a lasting mark. From the Cold War's ice curtain to daring crossings and the ambitious dreams of a tunnel or bridge, this small stretch of water holds a world of stories. So, if you had the chance, would you set foot on the frozen waters of the Diomede Islands? And if you could, where would you go first? Russia or the United States? Thank you for watching, and if this video makes sense to you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. See you in the next one.